The hallways of Jefferson High buzzed like a kicked beehive that morning. Kids yelling, lockers slamming, sneakers squeaking, the usual chaos. But when the bell rang for third period English, the noise dipped low. Every head turned when she walked in. Black boots, olive green jacket. Posture straight like she'd been carved out of discipline. Her name tag read, Ms. Ray Collins. Substitute teacher, but there was something about her, something cold and quiet like a storm waiting for the right wind. She dropped her worn leather bag on the desk and scanned the room one slow look that made every loudmouth suddenly remember how to shut up. The only one who didn't? Zach Turner. 17, blonde linebacker build, known for talking trash, and thinking his daddy's money made him bulletproof. Yo, we got a cop teaching us today or what? Zach snorted, leaning back in his chair. Miss Collins didn't flinch. She walked to the board, chalk squeaking as she wrote, "Discipline is remembering what you want. David Campbell." "Today," she said, voice low but sharp, "we're learning that words got weight. Use 'em right, they'll build you up. Use 'em wrong, they'll bury you." The class went still. Even the clock ticked quieter. But Zach? Nah, he couldn't stand stillness. "Yo, we ain't in boot camp, lady. Chill," his voice chuckled, feeding his ego. Miss Collins turned, eyes steady. "Mr. Turner, you got something to teach the class?" "Yeah," he smirked. How to lighten up. She stepped closer, boots thudding. "Tell you what, why don't you show me how tough you are without your little audience?" The laughter died right there. Lunchtime rumor mill worked fast. "That new sub? Bro, she roasted Zach in class. She was in the military, dude. I saw her tattoos. Nah, she's probably some ex-con. By the end of the day, half the school was whispering her name like she was some kind of legend already. But Zach ain't done, not by a long shot. Next morning, he came in loud again. "Morning, Sergeant Collins." He barked, saluting mockingly. The class snickered. Miss Collins just raised an eyebrow. "Funny," she said. "You act like a soldier, but you move like a scared kid." Zach's jaw twitched. "Watch it, lady. I'm not your lady," she said softly. "I am the reason you Regon now learn respect before the world teaches it the hard way." The words hit deep, but instead of backing off, Zach pushed harder. At the break point, it was Friday. The sun slanted through the blinds, golden lines cutting across the room. Miss Collins was writing notes when Zach, bored and fuming from detention, kicked his desk back. "Why are you even here, huh? You don't belong here. You think you better than us?" The class froze. Miss Collins looked up, eyes narrowing. "Sit down, Mr. Turner." "Nah." He stood. "I said, you think you're better than me? You're just another." Before the word could leave his mouth, she moved. One step, one twist. Her hand gripped his wrist mid-air just as he swung. The motion was clean, quiet, controlled. The class gasped. In a blink, Zach's arm was locked behind his back, his face inches from the floor, and her voice steady, deadly, calm cut through the air. "I told you words can bury you," she said. "And right now you just dug your own." He tried to pull free, but she didn't budge. Not an inch. Then, just as quick, she released him. Zach stumbled back, red-faced, eyes wide. "What the hell was that?" "Self-defense," she said. "U.S. Marine training. You throw hands again, you'll meet the ground before you blink." The class stayed silent. Even the bullies in the back looked small. She straightened her jacket, turned back to the board, and said, "Now, where were we?" "Oh, right. Discipline." Outside the classroom, whispers turned into wildfire. "She used to be a Marine sniper." "Bro, she fought in Afghanistan." "Nah. My cousin said she saved her unit from an ambush. Nobody knew the truth, but everybody knew one thing. You don't mess with Miss Collins. And as for Zach, he didn't show up Monday or Tuesday. When he finally came back, his swagger was gone. He walked in quiet, sat front row, and said, "Morning, ma'am." Miss Collins just smiled. But peace? Peace don't last long in places like Jefferson High. Behind the calm, something darker was staring. A secret from Miss Collins' past that was about to walk right into her classroom. And this time, it wouldn't be a high school bully. It'd be someone who used to wear the same uniform she did. Someone she left behind. The next week rolled in heavy. Jefferson High had that weird quiet that comes after a storm, kids whispering softer, hallways cleaner, like everyone was still scared Miss Collins might materialize if they got too loud. But Ray felt it. The shift. That gut-deep hum that said peace was temporary. She'd learned to listen to that feeling overseas, the calm before the radio static turned to gunfire. She stood at her desk early that morning, hands wrapped around a chipped mug of black coffee. The classroom was empty, sunlight crawling lazy across the floor tiles. She traced the rim of the mug with her finger, staring at the faded engraving, Semper Fi, a gift from someone who wasn't supposed to be gone. "Morning, Miss Collins," a bright voice chirped. It was Lena, a tiny sophomore who talked too much but meant every word she said. "You okay?" "You look kinda lost," Ray blinked out of her trance, forcing a smile. "Just tired, kiddo." "Haven't had my second coffee yet," Lena grinned. "I can bring you one tomorrow." "My mom owns a cafe." Ray raised a hand. "You're sweet, but no need. Get to class before the tardy bell eats you alive." Lena laughed and skipped out, headphones bouncing around her neck. And for half a second, Ray felt normal. Like she could do this, teach, breathe, move on. But then the door creaked again. A man's voice drifted in, low, gravelly, familiar in a way that made her blood run cold. "Long time no see, Sergeant." Ray froze. The mug in her hand cracked. She turned slowly. He stood there in the doorway, tall, shaved head, army jacket faded and patched. A long scar traced his jaw, and hanging from his neck, 2 rusted dog tags that caught the light. "Walker," she breathed. He grinned. "Didn't think you'd remember. How the hell did you find me?" He stepped in, eyes scanning the empty room. Wasn't hard. "A soldier who goes for a unit? Leaves behind classified intel? That kind of thing leaves a trail." Ray clenched her jaw. "You got 5 seconds to walk out before I call the cops." "Cops?" He laughed. "Come on, Ray. You and me both know you don't want them involved." The sound of kids flooded the hallway again. Laughter and sneakers squeaking, lockers banging. Walker leaned against the wall, calm like a snake. "You hid yourself good," he said. "New name, new city, new job. Teaching brats instead of dodging bullets. Cute life." Ray's eyes flicked toward the hallway. "This isn't the place. Then where?" "You don't get to disappear after what you did." Her hand twitched toward the desk drawer, the one with her service knife inside. He noticed, smirked, still twitchy. "Knew it." The bell rang. Students started trickling in, and just like that, Walker melted into the back row, slipping into an empty seat. The dog tags disappeared under his shirt, but his stare stayed locked on her. Class started. Miss Collins was the picture of control, voice steady, movements sharp. But her pulse hammered behind every word. "Today," she said, chalk tapping the board, "we talk about courage. What it is, what it isn't." Zach Turner shifted awkwardly in his seat, still humbled from last week. "Sometimes," Ray continued, "courage isn't charging into fire. Sometimes it's waking up and choosing to face the day, even when everything in you says run." Her eyes flicked toward Walker, just for a heartbeat. He smirked, mouthed the word, "Run." Her chalk snapped in half. When the bell rang again, the students spilled out. Ray moved fast, locking the door behind them. "Why are you here, Walker?" He leaned forward, elbows on the desk. Orders changed. The guys upstairs want closure. "You disappeared mid-op. People thought you were dead. Then your report showed up with names blacked out. Someone took the fall, Ray, and guess who was left holding the bag? You shouldn't have been there in the first place," she shot back. "That op was dirty, and you know it." He grinned, cold and slow. "Still think you can play hero, huh? Thought so." "You never learned." Her voice dropped. "You're not here for justice. You're here for revenge." He stood up. "Call it what you want, but you're gonna pay what's owed." Then he leaned in close enough that she could smell the gun oil on his jacket. "You ain't the only soldier who survived that mission." After he left, Ray sat at her desk long after dark. The janitor's vacuum hummed down the hall. The windows rattled with wind. And she just sat there, staring at the empty seat in the back, the one Walker had taken. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. A single text lit up the screen. "You can't hide forever, Sergeant. See you at the reunion." Her stomach dropped. That wasn't just a threat. That was a promise. The night came in cold and restless. Jefferson High was dark, but Ray's old truck sat alone under the flickering streetlight. She sat behind the wheel, hands tight on the steering, watching the rain smear the world into blurs. That text still burned on her phone screen. "See you at the reunion." She hadn't been called sergeant in 6 years. Hadn't thought about the reunion since she walked off that base in Helmand. Dust caked in her hair, blood on her boots, and the body bag zipped shut behind her. She told herself she was done. No guns, no orders, no ghosts. But ghosts had her number. And now they were calling. By Monday, she'd almost convinced herself Walker was bluffing. He'd always been the kind to rattle cages. But when she walked into class, she felt it. That pressure in the air, the kind that came right before a firefight. Zach noticed it too. The kid was still keeping his head down since the choke incident, but his eyes followed her like he knew something was off. "Miss Collins?" He said quietly while everyone was reading. "You good?" "You look like you've seen a ghost." She looked at him for a long second, debating how to answer. Then she said, "Sometimes ghosts are the only things that remind you you're still alive." He blinked, confused, but she just turned back to the board. Lunchtime. The teacher's lounge was half empty. Smell of burnt coffee and microwave soup thickened the air. Ray sat across from Mrs. Holloway, the kind of woman who could gossip a dead man back to life. "You seen the guy in the army jacket hanging around the fence this morning?" Holloway whispered. "Looked like trouble." Ray's hand froze halfway to her cup. "What fence?" "The west one, near the football field." Security told him to leave, but he said he was waiting for someone. Creepy vibe. Ray didn't respond. She just stood up slow, dumped her coffee, and walked out. Outside, the sky was gray, wind biting sharp. And sure enough, there was a boot print in the mud near the fence. Same size, same tread, military issue. That night, Ray drove out to the old scrapyard off Lincoln Highway. That's where the coordinates in Walker's text led. She parked, engine off, silence pressing heavy. Then she saw them, faint orange glow scattered between rusted cars. Cigarettes. Not. One man. 3. Walker stepped out first. "Thought you'd show," he said. Behind him stood 2 others, Mendez and Hall, both old unit. Both ghosts she never wanted to see again. "Guess this is the reunion," she said flatly. "Reunion," Walker echoed. "Or reckoning." She folded her arms. "You came all this way to scare a school teacher?" He laughed low. "Don't play that role with me, Ray. We know who you are." "We know what you did." Mendez tossed something. It clattered at her feet. A flash drive. Burned around the edges. "You remember Coast Province?" Walker said. "Operation Steel Vein? You reported us for the massacre. Said we went rogue." "I didn't report lies," she snapped. "You killed civilians." Walker's smile faded. "Collateral. You called it collateral when it was kids," she hissed. "That's why I walked. That's why I buried the file." He stepped closer, face hard. "You buried the truth. And that truth's about to rise again unless you help me fix it. Fix it? You take the fall. Say it was your order. Clear our names." Ray barked a bitter laugh. "You've lost your damn mind." The air turned thick. Hall moved first, reaching behind his jacket. Ray saw the glint before he even touched the grip. Old instincts took over. She pivoted, grabbed a rusted pipe from the ground, swung. Metal cracked bone. Hall went down. Mendez lunged. She ducked, hit low, drove her knee into his ribs, twisted his arm until she heard the pop. Walker just stood there, grinning in the shadows. "Still fast," he said. "Still dangerous." She aimed the pipe his way. "Try me," he raised both hands. "Easy, soldier. I ain't here to die tonight, then disappear." "Oh, I will," he said. "But not before I take something you care about." Her eyes narrowed. "You touched that school," he smirked. "Then don't make me." Then he turned and vanished into the dark. When Ray got back home, she was shaking. She dropped the pipe by the door, sat on the couch, and stared at the cracked window reflection. Her face pale, haunted, jaw set. Her phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't a number, it was a picture. Jefferson High, taken from the outside, through a classroom window. Zach sitting at a desk, and the message under it. You trained well, Sergeant. Let's see if your student can survive your past. Ray's stomach nodded. The war she thought she left behind had just followed her home. The next morning rolled in quiet, too quiet. The kind of silence Ray had learned to fear, the world holding its breath before something goes wrong. She parked her truck in the faculty lot, engine ticking as it cooled. The sunrise spilled gold over the school's brick walls, but all she could see was that photo from last night. Zach, sitting by the window. Someone watching. Her fingers drummed the steering wheel. 1, 2, 3. Old soldier's rhythm for focus. Then she stepped out, shoulders straight, eyes scanning every rooftop, every parked car. No sign of Walker, no sign of anyone. But that didn't mean she was safe. Inside, Jefferson High was waking up. Kids shouting across lockers, sneakers squeaking, someone blasting a rap track too loud through busted earbuds. It was all so normal, it made her chest ache. Morning, Miss Collins. Lena called, skipping by with a cup of coffee balanced in both hands. Ray smiled faintly. Careful, private. That's a weapon in the wrong hands. Lena giggled. You always talk like we're in a movie. Maybe we are, Ray said. Some of us just forget our lines. By third period, Ray was deep in her lecture. She tried to keep her voice even, but her mind kept drifting to the windows. Something flickered outside. A reflection, maybe a camera lens. Her stomach clenched. Zach, she said quietly. He looked up, surprised. Yeah, ma'am. Close those blinds, will you? He obeyed fast. The class followed his cue, everyone suddenly aware their teacher's voice had changed. Lower, sharper, phones away. Eyes front, she said. We're doing a listening exercise. No one argued. No one even breathed wrong. Ray slipped her phone out, typed fast beneath the desk. 2. Principal Harris, possible intruder on campus perimeter. Lock west entrance. Quietly, she hit send. Then she started talking out loud about metaphors and meaning. While every instinct she had was tuned to the hallway, minutes crawled by. Then came the intercom crackle. Staff, please keep students in classrooms until further notice. Routine security check. The kids groaned, but Ray smiled like it was nothing. See? Even the principal wants you focused. Only Zach caught the tension in her jaw. Miss Collins? He whispered. Is this about that guy from last week? Her eyes flicked toward him. You see him again? He hesitated. Maybe. Yesterday, near the bleachers. I thought he was a janitor. Ray nodded slowly. If you ever see him again, you walk away, you tell me. You don't play hero, you hear? Yes, ma'am. Half an hour later, the lockdown lifted. False alarm, the office said. But Ray knew better. When the final bell rang, she dismissed the class and waited until the room was empty. Then she crossed to the window, opened the blinds just an inch. A fold of paper was taped to the outside glass. She peeled it off carefully. 2 words scrawled in black marker. Nice formation. Her throat tightened. Walker had been watching, the whole class, the whole time, close enough to joke in their old language. That night, Ray sat at her kitchen table with a folder spread open. Inside, old photos, service records, 1 yellowed letter with a Marine Corps seal. She slid out a phone number she hadn't dialed in years. A voice answered on the first ring. Collins, you finally calling in that favor? Ray exhaled. Yeah, I need eyes. Walker's back. Silence, then a low whistle. Thought he was blacklisted. So did I. All right, Ray, we'll run a trace. But if he's active again, you're stepping into a storm. I already am, back at Jefferson High. The lights clicked off one by one. But from the edge of the parking lot, a figure stood in the shadows, watching the darkened windows. A small red light blinked once on his phone screen before fading. The weekend hit cold. Jefferson High sat empty, wind cutting through the parking lot and stirring old flyers off the fence. But Ray Collins was there before sunrise, boots crunching gravel, a thermos in one hand and a toolbox in the other. She wasn't waiting for trouble anymore. She was building walls around it. Inside, the hall lights buzzed awake as she moved room to room checking locks, measuring sight lines, noting every blind corner. Her mind clicked like an old rifle being cleaned. Calm, precise, automatic. Step 1. Cameras. She borrowed a set from the tech lab and mounted them herself, each one hidden behind ceiling vents and library speakers. Step 2. Signals. 3 knocks on a desk meant lockdown quietly. 1 whistle meant all clear. She taught the janitor, the librarian, even the cafeteria crew. No questions asked. Step 3. Backup. She flipped open her phone and dialed the number that still burned in her memory. Sergeant Collins, the voice said, gravel low. Didn't think I'd ever hear that call sign again. It's just Ray now, Captain. You never just anything. What do you need? Intel on Walker Mason, last known contracts, anything. You sure you want to dig that deep? He's private sector now. Security merc stuff. Gray money. I'm not looking to start a war. Just need to end one. Then I'll send you what I can. Check your Dropbox tonight. Click line dead. By Monday morning, Ray had rebuilt her routine into a quiet operation. The kids didn't notice much, except maybe that their substitute moved like a security camera with a pulse. Lena whispered to Zach, "She's got spy vibes again." Zach nodded, half grinning. "If she is a spy, I'm staying on her good side." Ray caught their glance and smiled faintly. "Good plan, Turner. Always be nice to the person who can read your thoughts." The class laughed, tension melting for a second, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. That afternoon, while grading essays, she opened the encrypted file her old captain sent. Walker Mason. Location. Multiple aliases employment. Raven Consulting. LLC. Private security. Last assignment. Corporate protection contract Midwest Region Associates. Mendez Ruiz Hall Greer flag. Unverified government ties. At the bottom was a final note in bold. Rumor says he's not working alone. Something bigger funds him now. Ray leaned back, heart thudding. Bigger than Walker meant bigger stakes, and maybe, just maybe, someone inside the system wanted her silenced. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the bleachers, she stayed late again, checking camera feeds. One by one, the halls appeared empty, still, safe. Then feed number 6 blinked static. For half a second, a face filled the screen. Walker's. Grinning. He was inside. Ray froze, breath shallow. The timestamp was 15 minutes old. She grabbed her flashlight, slipped into the hall, moving silent down the corridor like she'd done 1,000 times overseas. Every sound, the hum of lights, the creak of the floor felt like a tripwire. She reached her classroom door. Pushed it open, nothing except her chalkboard. Someone had written in perfect block letters, round 2. And beneath it, taped neatly, one of her security camera lenses snapped clean out of its frame. She swallowed hard, forcing her heartbeat steady. He wanted her rattled. He wanted her to slip. Not this time. She walked to the board, erased the message, and whispered to the empty room, "Round 2's mine." Then she reached for her phone and called the only person who ever fought beside her without flinching. "Need a favor," she said. "Big one. You in trouble again?" "More like preparation. Same thing with you," the voice chuckled. "Where and when?" "Jefferson High tonight." Outside, the last light bled from the sky. 2 cars rolled up behind the gym, no headlights, no noise. Old Marines stepping out, shoulders heavy with years, eyes scanning like predators. Ray met them by the service door. "Welcome to class," she said. The clock on Ray's classroom wall ticked past 9. Jefferson High was dark, except for the faint hum of the exit lights and the low buzz of the vending machines down the hall. Outside, the November wind carried dry leaves across the parking lot. Every gust sounded like whispers. 3 figures moved through that darkness, quiet, coordinated. Ray's old unit. Corporal Miles Hawk Henley, tall, lean eyes sharp as night vision lenses. Dana Cruz, small, calm, analytical. the one who could turn a blueprint into a battlefield. And Ray, steady at the center, the reason both had come without a single question. They worked fast and quiet. No weapons, no alarms. Just sensors, motion tags, and an old-school network of signals. Dana crouched near the gym door, clipping a thin thread of reflective tape across the handle. "If it moves, we'll know," she whispered. "Feels like old times," Hawk murmured, scanning the parking lot with a handheld scope. "Except this time, the bad guys show up in hoodies instead of uniforms." Ray gave him a look. "Same rule as always. No one gets hurt unless they make it impossible to avoid." He nodded. "Copy that, boss." Inside the building, Ray's phone glowed with the camera feeds she'd set up earlier. 6 screens, 6 silent hallways. "Gym's clear," Dana said softly through her earpiece. "Front lot too. If he's coming, he's not dumb enough to do it loud." "He never was," Ray muttered. "He'll test the line first." And right on cue, a faint scrape echoed from the far side of the school, near the maintenance wing. Hawk's voice crackled through. "Movement. 1 silhouette, maybe 2. They're checking the windows. Hold position," Ray said. "Let them think we don't see." She watched the feed flicker. 2 dark shapes pausing by the hallway entrance. One of them looked straight at the nearest camera and grinned. Walker. He raised a hand, and for one heartbeat, Ray thought he was waving. But then she saw it. A phone held up to the lens, playing back an old photo of their unit, smiling in desert light. Message received. He remembered everything. Ray exhaled slow, steady. "All right," she said into the mic. "He's here. Time to lock this down." Dana slid through the hall like a shadow, flipping the internal security latches. Hawk circled back to the side lot, his boots barely whispering on the pavement. Ray moved to the central corridor, her pulse steady, her mind running 10 steps ahead. Every echo, every flicker of light had meaning. Every inch of Jefferson High was now a tactical map in her head. Minutes crawled. Then came a soft clink, metal on tile. Hawk whispered, "North exit door." "He's trying the handle. Let him," Ray said quietly. A second later, the handle rattled, and the reflective thread Dana had placed earlier snapped with a faint shimmer. "Confirmation," Dana said. "He's inside." Ray's lips tightened. "Good. He thinks we're asleep." 10 minutes later. The intruders moved deeper, slow, careful, their footsteps tracing the path to Ray's classroom. Ray stood at her desk, back to the door, pretending to read papers under a small lamp. The handle turned. The door creaked open. "Evening, Walker," she said without looking up. Silence. Then his voice, smooth, almost amused. "You always did like making an entrance feel like a trap." "That's because it is," she replied. The lights flicked on, not overhead, but in the hallway behind him. Hawk stepped out from the shadows at one end. Dana appeared at the other, tablet glowing faint blue in her hands. Ray turned, calm as still water. "This isn't a battlefield anymore," she said. "It's a school. And you're done walking through it like you own people's fear." Walker's grin faltered just slightly. "You think you can corner me with cameras and old friends?" "I don't need to corner you," she said. "You already walked into my report. Every feed here's been live streaming to federal servers since the minute you crossed that fence." His eyes widened, the first crack in his calm. "You wouldn't, I did. Because I'm tired of ghosts." For a long moment, nobody moved. The only sound was the low hum of the lamp and the rain against the window. Then Walker chuckled, a dry, broken sound. "Guess this reunion's over." He turned, hands raised. Hawk nodded once, guiding him toward the exit. Dana exhaled. "That's it?" "For now," Ray said softly. Some wars end quietly. Outside, as the night wind carried the last drizzle of rain across the parking lot, Ray looked back at the school. Her classroom light glowed warm in the distance, steady, ordinary. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to believe that ordinary might actually be enough. Morning came slow, heavy, like the sky was still tired from what went down the night before. Jefferson High was wrapped in yellow tape, cameras flashing, cops everywhere, and news vans parked like vultures on the lawn. Students huddled in small groups, whispering, all eyes flicking toward one door, Room 204, Ms. Ray's room. She sat inside, calm but unreadable, watching the rain slide down the window like melted glass. The desk that once felt like a safe space now carried files, evidence bags, and half-drunk coffee cups from detectives who came and went all night. The principal, Mr. Lawrence, stood at the door. He looked uneasy, like he didn't know whether to thank her or fire her. "Ray," he said carefully, "the district's processing everything. There'll be hearings, statements. You know how this goes?" "I know," she said quietly. "Just tell them I didn't start it. I finished it before it got worse." He sighed. "The students are calling you a hero. The board's calling their lawyers." Ray gave a half smile. "Sounds about right." By noon, the story had already broken nationwide. Ex-military teacher outsmarts armed intruder. Every headline used her face. The same calm, unreadable stare. Her phone buzzed nonstop. Old unit members, reporters, strangers thanking her for her service. But between the noise, one message stood out from an unknown number. "Didn't think you'd use my own tactics on me. Respect. W." She stared at it for a long moment, then deleted it. No reply. When the feds finally cleared the scene, Dana and Hawk found her sitting on the curb outside, sipping cold coffee from a paper cup. "You okay?" Hawk asked. "Define okay," she said with a small grin. Dana crossed her arms. "They're saying Walker's getting transferred to federal custody. He won't see daylight for a long time." Ray nodded. "That's one less shadow." "Still," Hawk added, "word is the school wants you to take a break." "Paid leave," Ray laughed under her breath. "First time I ever got paid to breathe." That evening, she drove out past the city to the edge of nowhere, where the road disappeared into tall grass and silence. It was where she used to train her breathing. Back when silence wasn't peace, it was pressure. She stood there, wind tugging at her coat, eyes fixed on the horizon. In the distance, thunder rolled, low, slow, almost familiar. She whispered to herself, "You made it out again, soldier." "Don't go back in." Days later, school reopened. The halls were loud again, sneakers squeaking, laughter bouncing off lockers. But when Ray walked in, the noise softened. Heads turned. "Is Ray?" One of her students called out, a shy kid named Jamal. "Is it true you used to be like special ops or something?" Ray smirked. "It's true, I used to do my homework under tougher conditions than you." The class laughed. Just like that, the tension broke. She glanced around. Familiar faces, the smell of chalk and cheap perfume, the hum of normal life. That was the victory she'd been chasing, not medals, not revenge. Just this. At lunch, she sat alone in the courtyard. A little girl from the freshman hall came up, tiny, nervous. She held out a folded piece of paper. Ray opened it. It was a hand-drawn picture, Ray standing in front of the class. A caption at the bottom, "The teacher who doesn't flinch." For the first time in days, Ray's eyes softened. She smiled and said quietly, "Guess that's who I am now." That night, as the city lights flickered from her apartment window, Ray pulled out her old military dog tags, the ones she swore she'd never wear again. She hung them on the corner of the mirror, not as a reminder of who she was, but of how far she'd come. Then she sat at her desk and wrote her resignation letter, not from the school, but from the war that lived in her head. "I choose peace," she wrote, "even if I have to fight for it." And as the night deepened, the wind outside felt different, not cold, not sharp, just quiet. Finally quiet. 2 weeks had passed since the night everything changed. The world had moved on, but Ray hadn't. Every morning she woke before dawn, same as she did back in the service. The habit was wired too deep to kill. The difference was, now there was no mission waiting. Just coffee, a quiet apartment, and the echo of her own thoughts. The city outside buzzed with early noise, car horns, barking dogs, the soft hum of a life that didn't need permission to go on. But inside her walls, it was all stillness. She'd traded the battlefield for the classroom, then the classroom for the front page. And now? Now she was just someone people pointed at on TV, saying, "That's her." That morning, she went for a walk through the park near her apartment. The same park she used to avoid. Too many people, too many blind spots. But today she walked slow, hands in her coat pockets, breathing like it mattered. As she passed the benches, she heard whispers, 2 joggers. Isn't that the teacher from the news? Yeah, the one who took down that guy at her school. She pretended not to hear. But inside, the words landed heavy. She didn't want to be that teacher. She wanted to be Ray, just Ray. Back home, her phone blinked with new emails, press requests, interviews, even a documentary offer. She ignored them all, except one. A message from a name she hadn't seen in years. LT Briggs. Heard what went down. You handled it like we trained you to. The world could use more soldiers like you in classrooms. Coffee sometime? She stared at the screen for a long time, then typed one word back. Maybe. That night she couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard it again. The click of that classroom door, the sound of Walker's voice, the faint buzz of the security feed. Not fear, just memory. A sound that lived under her skin. She got up, opened her window, and let the cool air wash over her. The city lights looked softer from up here. Down below, kids laughed, skateboards rattled against concrete. Someone played old R&B on a speaker. It was life, unbroken, unguarded, ordinary. Exactly what she fought for. A week later, Ray sat in a small cafe across from LT Briggs. He hadn't changed much. Still had that military posture. Still scanned the exits without meaning to. You look lighter, he said, sipping his coffee. She smiled faintly. Maybe I finally dropped the weight I carried in silence. He nodded slowly. That Walker thing, it rattled a lot of people. Word spread. Folks in DC are talking about using your story in training materials. Ray chuckled. A cautionary tale? A survival manual, he corrected. You turned a school into a safe zone without firing a shot. That's not caution, that's leadership. She leaned back, staring at her reflection in the window. I didn't do it to make a statement, I did it because I had to. Briggs smiled. That's exactly why it matters. Later that day, Ray stopped by the school for the first time since her leave started. The halls were buzzing again, lockers slamming, sneakers squeaking, laughter bouncing off the walls. When she walked in, a few students gasped, others clapped. Principal Lawrence hurried over. Ray, I didn't expect. I'm not staying, she said gently. Just checking in, he nodded. They still talk about you every day. You changed how they see this place? Ray smiled. Then my job's done. As she walked back to her car, Jamal, the shy kid, ran up with a small notebook. Ms. Ray, he said breathlessly. Can you sign this? She blinked, surprised. Sign what? My essay, he said proudly. It's called Courage Isn't Quiet. I wrote it about you. Ray's throat tightened. She took the notebook, right at the bottom. Courage isn't loud either. It just keeps going. That night, Ray sat by her window again, watching the city lights move like rivers of fire. Her reflection in the glass looked calm, whole. She whispered to herself, maybe peace doesn't come all at once. Maybe it's built, one quiet choice at a time. She reached for the dog tags on the mirror, then let them fall back against the glass. They clinked once, soft. And in that small sound, she realized something. Some echoes aren't reminders of pain. They're proof that you made it through. 3 months later, the world hadn't stopped saying her name. Ms. Ray Monroe, the teacher who saved Jefferson High. It was everywhere. Newspapers, podcasts, late-night talk shows. Even the president had mentioned her in a speech about everyday heroes. And now, there it was. An official invitation, heavy paper, gold seal, signed by the Secretary of Defense himself. You are to be honored at the National Valor Ceremony in Washington, D.C. Ray read it twice, then set it down on her kitchen counter like it might explode. She'd spent her life running from medals. Now they wanted to hand her another one. A week later, she stood in front of her mirror, trying on the dark navy suit Dana had picked out for her. Girl, Dana said over the phone, you look like you just walked out of a recruitment ad. Ray smirked. If I walk in there in fatigues, they'll call me unstable. If I wear heels, they'll call me soft. "So, I guess this'll do. You ain't gotta prove nothing," Dana said gently. "Just show up and let him see what real strength looks like." Ray's eyes softened. "You always know how to say the thing I need to hear. That's why you keep me around." The ceremony hall was huge. Marble floors, chandeliers, flags on every wall. Every step echoed like memory. Rows of uniformed officers stood shoulder to shoulder, cameras flashing. Reporters whispered, "That's her, the teacher, the veteran." But Ray didn't look at them. Her eyes were fixed on the stage and the small velvet box sitting at its center. When her name was called, the applause felt like thunder. She walked slow, steady. Not a march, not anymore. The secretary smiled as he pinned the medal to her jacket. His voice echoed through the microphone. For her courage under pressure, her commitment to the safety of others, and her refusal to let fear win, we honor Ray Monroe. The audience rose. Cameras flashed. But Ray didn't hear the noise. She heard Walker's voice. She heard her students laughing. She heard the quiet click of a door she'd locked forever. And in that silence, that split second of stillness, she decided something. When it was her turn to speak, she stepped to the podium. The hall went quiet. She looked out over the crowd. Generals, senators, teachers, kids watching from home. "Thank you," she began. Her voice was calm, grounded, unshakable. "But this medal doesn't belong to me." A ripple went through the room. "It belongs to every teacher who stood their ground when the world got mean. It belongs to every soldier who came home and tried to be normal again. And it belongs to every student who walked into school scared and walked out brave." She paused. You could have heard a pin drop. "I didn't act because I wanted glory," she continued. "I acted because no one else should have to. If this medal means anything, it means we've still got work to do, making sure classrooms stay classrooms, not battlefields." Applause started slow. One clap, then another. And the whole room stood. But Ray just smiled, stepped back, and let the noise wash over her. She wasn't chasing medals. She was closing chapters. Later that night, in her hotel room overlooking the Washington skyline, Ray set the medal on the nightstand. For a long time, she just stared at it. The shine, the weight, the meaning. Then she took a deep breath, opened her bag, and slipped something else beside it. Her old dog tags. 2 symbols. 2 lives. 1 truth. You can leave the war and still honor the warrior. She whispered into the quiet room, "Tomorrow I go home. Back to the kids. Back to peace." And as she turned off the light, the medal and the tags caught the last glint of the city outside. 2 reflections of the same woman, finally whole.